understanding what is certain gaps in the system as a whole that is missing. Apart from the book knowledge, there is much more that needs to be done in the curriculum. So there are a lot of scope for the civil engineers, not beyond just construction as a agenda. Industry has to play a vital role in educating these students at the final year level.
There are multiple certification based colleges which are put across Pune and Delhi and every place else. I think they can pursue that as well to gain an extra knowledge in terms of what is happening in the industry in that particular frame. I think that's probably will be an add-on for them to understand what is they've learned theoretically and what is actually happening on the ground.
If I do this, will I get a job?
People who have grown, they've only grown when they've learned something from it and then implemented in their day-to-day activity whichever they are into.
Everybody, once given an opportunity, can always learn and improve and grow.
You need to start a journey 1 year before even you are actually about to graduate. That's how it should be.
It's all about the demand and supply. It's all about how you position yourself among the peer group. You have to involve yourself in terms of creating value addition to the company.
People who have money, they have interest to find solutions. Beyond a point, of course, you also need suggestions, right? And people do ask in open forum. That's where you come in. You need to put in your perspective there. And probably your answer might be interesting for them to explore it.
Any given industry or any given leader will be, probably looking for fresh
Solutions.
perspectives and all of that.
Solutions,
And
yeah.
as a graduate engineer, he comes in with a fresh perspective which is not stained by the experience.
I'm sure about 15 to 20% of India's GDP is driven by real estate. Students are empowered with the mindset of not looking at a job or creating a job as an opportunity, utilizing the kind of core domain that they are getting educated from.
Though the number of engineers graduating from colleges have increased over the years, most of this increase has been in IT. But those who take core engineering, they don't move much. Okay, so for example, out of 5,000, I have just 120 civil engineers graduating. And that has been like that since 10 years now.
I see the majority of civil engineers are kind of coming towards interior space, so that there is a larger spectrum of opportunity in interior space for the people who is not very much aligned towards doing the core job. As you said, it's a very low-key department, right? When you talk about the civil as an option, right? So they always wanted to choose a better career option which gives a growth according to that.
It's not about the certifications. It's about the intent of learning. You have to stand out from the crowd. Even for civil and the other batches, it's not about your own core. It's about the entire ecosystem you have to get prepared with.
You need to have that interest. You need to have that fire within you.
Career as an option when they choose into the side of an interiors, right? When they come out, you kind of get into a client serving role. How you treat every customer at a customer centric role is certainly gives the difference of value. It always adds a value towards how you deliver the projects according to the execution as matters.
When you say real estate and entrepreneurship, people perceive it as a null set because real estate requires a lot of investment and all of that.
There's a lot of skill set that you one should acquire. No university, unfortunately, teaches real estate as a subject or kind of a degree. It's not about the degree that you carry or the kind of specialization you graduate out of is what is going to give you great bread and butter. Learn to network from the college days. It definitely carries a lot of weightage for the students.
It's all about solving a problem.
The kind of opportunity that we found, the problem was an opportunity for us. One is a building collapse, water flooding. Both are the great opportunities for civil engineers to think on what is the way that they can add value to this sort of calamities that can happen within our own space of living.
Almost 75-80% of our students, they end up doing an internship somewhere. Especially civil engineering tends to be more mathematical to interiors or real estate or the costing involved, the business, dealing with the customer.
The fund.
These are skills which again are extremely important.
Man, that's a vast industry that one can look at as a career option or as an entrepreneurship option.
Improve as a different aspects of looking at.
When your peer group or when you are interacting with the clients who are at that level, so obviously you absorb certain traits from them. So there is always a hunger for learning and there is always a hunger for improving and widening the network. So it's not that you have to finish off your graduation, then you have to get into that. No, you set up a goal in the early days, create your own path, build fast, fail fast.
I think sales is the fastest way to grow in any organization. Sales is where the money is. If somebody wants to become big in their career, sales is the way to go.
You won't believe most of the engineers are actually sales.
Every CEO is sales. The core trait is sales.
So selling is something that which everybody and anybody has to do at an entry level.
So it's all about how you sell yourself, irrespective of civil, electrical, anything else.
Absolutely, if you're not present digitally, you are nobody. There are multiple sections if you are really interested to kind of grow.
If an organization is in bad times and has to fire people, would it be right to say that the sales is the last to go?
Yeah.
Because if they send the sales
Exactly.
guy out, the business is down there. It's
Your pay versus the revenue that you bring it on the table.
If you're not continuously putting any effort on a particular work which you're assigned to, you're not getting results. If, for example, if you're working on a particular strategy for a month and you're not able to get the result, change your strategy. You have to be smart enough to understand what market needs.
The sales guy can do miracles if you hire the right one.
So you have to choose where you want to step into it and how you have to prepare for it and adapt to the companies, and based on that you certainly push and thrive for the numbers.
It's up to the students to pursue certain skill set which can align with those sort of development that the government initiatives are coming in.
You forecasting what happens in the next 6 months, 1 year, and what kind of trends which might happen and how quickly you can adapt to that. Going beyond these pep talks or giving internship opportunities, we have to create that intent of getting into the competition. What happens is there is a gap when they graduate and they come into the real-time world. It's not about only core. You have to have at least 3 to 4 different skill sets.
Hey, hi. Welcome all of you to episode 20 of Titans Talk. In this episode today, we want to, touch upon civil engineering as a graduation. Because one is that we've talked about different technology and different engineering subjects and different student subjects. But then when we look at civil engineering as a whole, right, it's kind of, long lost cousin kind of types where, people today, it is like the last option that anybody prefers in engineering. But then, we wanted to also touch upon and kind of, throw light on what are the emerging opportunities within real estate, civil, interiors, and all of that, which is all relevant to civil engineering. Plus, we want to have a set of people who have, started their careers and who have thriving careers within real estate and interiors, and also within different parts of civil industry, so that we can have a viewpoint from their angle, and then we'll go from there. So I wanted to start off with you, Rajesh, if you can briefly introduce yourself and what you do and all of that, and then we'll go from there, and then we'll go.
Sure. Thanks, Gautam. Thanks for hosting us over here, and it's been pleasure to be here. A quick background. So I'm Rajesh. I come from Open Credit. I founded this company. So we are a boutique investment firm. So we are into focus towards the NBFCs, fintechs, and also the proptechs. So that's a quick background about our company. Talking about me, I was an engineer by a profession. So then I had to happen to do the 2 MBAs, one from Alliance School of Business, Bangalore, and the second one from Indian School of Business, Hyderabad. So I started my career with AWFIS, which is the first co-working space where the concept has been brought to India by this company. And fortunately, I've been one of the early, team members of AWFIS. And I was there till Sequoia has invested in the company. And from there, I moved to a company called QDesk, which is an aggregating marketplace for all the co-working and managed office spaces across pan India. And I was there till JLL has invested in the company. And then ISB happened, and after that, I took a small stint at Zolo Stays, which is a market leader right now in terms of the co-living across pan India. So then I wanted to get into the investment banking side during my college days. So I had created my own path in terms of building blocks, starting from the sales and getting into a strategy, then getting into the fundraise, and eventually turned out to be an investment banker. So I previously worked with one of the Anicutt's capital portfolio company called Orange Retail Finance, where I headed the investor relations and also the fundraise for this company. So and after that, I started my own investment banking firm, and we have raised close to 2,300 CR in terms of debt and equity. That's a quick background.
Thank you. So, Vani, a little about yourself. So, Vani is a friend of mine as well. So,
Thank you, Gautam. I'm Vaninath Reddy Renati, founder of Block Realty Ventures Private Limited. Predominantly, we're a real estate aggregator. working closely with a lot of tier 1 builders across Bangalore city, where we have a lot of shareholders who invest money with us, where we capitalize on the pre-launch projects, the appreciation that we receive in the first one year of the time frame by selling these units. That's a portfolio that we are managing, and currently we are holding about 500 plus inventory with this Class A builders in Bangalore, raised about 50 plus crores of investments and invested in these projects. Prior to this, a decade I was into healthcare industry in clinical operations and hospital administration sector. Then a decade in entrepreneurial stint with various opportunities that came our way. Had a better experiences in entrepreneurial journey and then a lot of learnings. Thanks to COVID, that gave a real insights on what is that passion that I carry in myself that can drive my future. I realized that human connect is something that drives me. Then what better industry than real estate to be in to capitalize on the human potential. So that's how I got into real estate. So I'm an accidental real estate through COVID.
Great. So more to add to that, Vani, as we go. So yeah, Venkat.
Hi, Venkat here. I've been in industry for last 14 years now, so to speak. I've started my journey with hotels. I'm a hotelier by profession. I did my graduation with PhD CAS in Coimbatore in Eurocity, Gotham. And from there, I moved to Chennai, and Chennai I was with Taj Sats. I was there for a year, and then from ITC Grand Chola. So I was there for 2 years. I was in the pre-opening team there. And accidentally, as he said, happened with me as well. I moved to Bangalore. I got married here, and then was looking for opportunity.
Which
Just
happened accidentally? Getting married?
my
or
getting not getting married. I had to move suddenly from Chennai. I was very much happy, very much settled with my job. Company was good. My job I liked, of course, whatever I was doing in the front office, handling customers and clients, right? And then I had to move in here, and then I was looking for a job, and it just happened. That was purely by an accident. One of my friends had moved from ITC hotels to Regis, and then he told me, "Come down. Why don't you give it an interview and try your hands on it?" So I moved in there. I liked the place. I was completely into operations. From that 1.5 years or 2 years of experience, something clicked in me, and I was fascinated by how, you know, providing service, you were able to, use real estate and get customers from there, high-end customers, of course. Regis, as you know, is a very top-end product. I would like to correct Rajesh, of course, on that. That Regis was the first actually, co-working business which they had the plan to develop it in India. First of all, I think 15 years ago, I had a fantastic 2 year stay, learned trade from there. And then I moved on and I joined commercial technologies. I was there for 2 years. I worked as a broker there. Learned again tricks and trades because my job was typically a desk job when I was there in Regis. Just handling centers, and I handled almost 9 centers, most of the centers which is there in Bangalore as of now, from MG Road going till Manyata, all the spaces which I have seen, and I have set it up those centers also in terms of operations. From there, I moved to commercial again, and it was a good experience in some way that I had to move from a desk job and then scout the entire city, understand what properties are where, which project is doing well, which micro market is doing well, understanding different kind of real estate, right? The small time buildings are there. There, of course, you look at business parks, what kind of clients sit there. So that is an eye opener for me again, and I had to work really hard for 2 years to learn the trick and trade of sales. But that's what actually, if you look at my real estate journey, in sales started, so to speak. And then, of course, I had a good experience. I started opening, I basically opened my own company called Viva Office Spaces. So I started my own brokerage firm. 5 years, I did really well. COVID came. I did not know what to do, of course. Everybody was stuck. Because most of my business was offline. I did not understand at that point of time online would have that kind of an importance, so to speak, in commercial estate, so to speak. And then things got stuck, money got stuck, life got stuck, and then I decided, okay, let me do something else. So I joined Rajesh Binner's company called Real Estate Real Tech. At that time, was into fractional office space selling. So we took up the entire different. There were different projects at that time during COVID were completely empty, and then there were no takers. There was one particular building which we were assigned just before COVID, and they had to back out because of that charade which happened, entire charade which happened. No, we work global
Yeah.
IPO, so they did not have money and they had to give back all the buildings and all the stuff. So that's how this property we took it over. We spoke to Mr. Pawan Bajram, CEO of Bajram Group, and then we took over the building and then we leased out in 6 months. AWFIs took it. Fantastic. At that time, we saw a sudden change where real estate demand went from a typical 3% to a 30% high.
This is in
That's
21, 22.
20.
Oh, okay.
So it was big COVID. That's when we leased out. So I used to go to office. So I was done in first month, of course, when the lockdown happened. Right, remember? Uh, Everything was locked down. I like, I'm done. I cannot sit at home. I need to go. So I took the pass, whatever I had to get it done. I got it done, and I used to sit at the site, irrespective somebody is coming or not. So I used to do video inspections from there. Tried my hands with all the brokers in the world, but there was, there's limited opportunity to, do any transaction. I think everybody would agree at that point of time how hard it was. Did that transaction. It was fantastic. Deep Shekhar and Deepayan really, helped to structure the entire deal altogether. And from there, I moved on to Brigade. Brigade was a very short stint. And then here and in between, I took a professional break and I was doing my PG in digital marketing from Purdue University. And then it's been last 3 months now, and I'm with IncuSpace. The company is 8 year old. We have about 2.5 million square feet across the board. 25,000 people's work under our umbrella as of now, and we intend to take another 2 million in another 6 months. So we have raised good capital. We have an investment plan for around 100 crores, pumping into real estate in coming 6 months. So that's where I am. I handle entire Bangalore for the team as of now, and then look at expansion as well as day-to-day operations, sales operations for the company.
Perfect. Thanks, Venkat. So Bharat, I want to go with you next, and it happened such that Bharat and I became friends through a co-working space
Good
in
works.
Bangalore, and
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
so
Okay.
not a very fancy co-working space, but we made fancy friends there. But yeah, so Bharat, if you can go
Yeah.
ahead next.
So, I'm Bharat. I currently work with a company called Square Yards, and I work in interior design industry. I mean, I have around 9.5 years of experience overall. I've started with hospitality and moved to interiors. It's been 7.5 years into interiors for me, and hospitality was around 2.5 years. I started with Oyo, handling both supply and demand, where uh, predominantly corporates and B2B, and the travel agent segment, where I used to handle both inventory on the demand side of the hotels. A good tenure there, and moved to Home Lane after that. And I worked with Home Lane and Live Space in the residential interior space, and I was handling both sales and operations out there. And after Home Lane, I have also worked in Fluff Spaces, which is predominantly into commercial interiors. So that's where the relationship of real estate partners come in place, where I was handling the office interior segment, where though I am the post revenue of what predominantly the real estate does. So the interiors is certainly a pivoted version of what we do. And the current organization, what I work in Square Yards, which I handle interior vertical for Square Yards for South, and I handle sales, design, and operations and execution. So I have a team of 70 to 75 people now, and we focus predominantly on the residential space. Yeah. So
Fantastic.
Thanks. So Karthik, a brief intro about you for the panel as well.
Yeah. I'm Karthik Subramanian. I'm a placement officer for a college and university based out of Pune. Vishwakarma Institute of Technology is the college. And we have a university as well called Vishwakarma University. So we are a premium engineering college in Maharashtra, considered at least among the top 4 or 5 among the private colleges there, in the entire state of Maharashtra. Very good ranking in NAC. We have an A++, 3.65 plus ranking kind of. and also ranked favorably by NARF, the National Institute of Ranking Framework. We have always been in the around 150 in India, where almost 100 are government colleges only. So there are only around 30 or 40 private engineering colleges across India to figure in that ranking. So we graduate about 5,000 engineers now each year in all disciplines, from electronics to civil, mechanical, computer science, instrumentation. We have all branches of engineering. We also have a university where we graduate students of design, MBA, and so on. So I have been with this group for the last 25 years now.
Fantastic.
I was
Long journey.
actually a professor in computer science for several years, a head of department there. But I just wanted a change in work somehow 7 years ago. So I moved to this placements, which is more like an HR, because we are in touch with over now in the last 3 years. If you see, we around 900 plus companies we have been in touch who come to hire students as interns and full-time employees. So we have a very good internship program as well. Also, companies come for graduate engineering hiring. That's my basic introduction.
Thank you. So, yeah. So I just wanted to, as I told earlier during the introduction, right, to kind of touch upon opportunities for civil engineers. If you look at engineering as a whole, right, like, if you take chemical or civil, right, they are like the last resort. Like, you want to get into a college, you do not get any of the circuit branches, then you're like, okay, okay, I'll take civil, something like that. But then, again, they end up working in IT companies, or they end up working in whatever sector they get into, with India poised for growth, right? With India set to double its total GDP in the next 6 to 8 years. So, infra and real estate plays a very major role for India to set up its growth. And you are all, you've all capitalized on the growth that real estate has given you in the last decade. So I wanted to, kind of ask you, Vani, start off with you, Vani. So what do you think, what are some of the promising areas in real estate where civil engineers can look at to make a career?
Great question. Because I think, I mean, when I was hearing to Mr. Karthik, he said, 5,000 engineers are being produced from their institute alone in a year. Imagine the kind of engineers being produced across the country. I come from a place called Anandpur, which houses one of the oldest university called JNTU, which is very famous for the civil engineering department. I used to work very closely with that university. While I was into healthcare, I had my businesses there, and passion towards education, because I come from an educationalist family, uh, triggered me to do something for all these engineering graduates who are getting graduated from such institutions, and no exposure to kind of any other added courses for them to empower themselves to be a better engineers going forward. So I kind of found that gap is there, and then working closely with Bangalore, I carried certain knowledge from here, and I wanted to give it to my people there. So I started a EduCAD franchisee there, just not with the business interest, just to support about a dozen of engineering colleges there, to give their experience in CAD, the different technologies. So from then I closely worked on understanding what is certain gaps in the system as a whole that is missing. Is, apart from the book knowledge, there is much more that needs to be done in the curriculum. Having worked in the real estate space very closely to address to the importance of civil engineers, I've been last 4 years I've been working very closely with the premium builders, the mid-segment builders, and the upcoming builders as well. If you look at the shift is there from just doing the construction to building sustainable projects as a whole. You talk
ESG and
the
sustainability is actually part of the business right now, as you rightly
so
put across.
the green buildings
Yeah.
are the kind of
The
earlier
certifications.
people used to just do the construction. Civil engineering means construction, nothing else. But today there are enormous amount of opportunities
The
for
amount
them.
of air needs to be there, the lighting needs to be
Absolutely.
there. There's multiple things.
80% open space. You look at the Times of India ads, and today you see, builders are competing with how much open spaces they give, how much sustainable product they are delivering, what is the kind of water conservation methods they are utilizing in the project. These are the solar power being utilized, renewable energy is being implemented in the project. So there are a lot of scope for the civil engineers, not beyond is just construction as a agenda. they have to think out of the box to utilize the various other opportunities in line with them. Even if you look at the the transportation as an industry, the roads and infrastructure, the irrigation sector. There are a lot of new technologies that are been evolving in this civil. I mean, added to the civil engineering, like BIM as one of the options. People should think out of the box and explore various other opportunities. There are enormous opportunities that are lying for civil engineers in this current market.
So, as a follow-up question, right, Vani? So, let's say I'm a final year engineering student
Mhm.
who's completing, graduating in civil engineering. You've told me different opportunities and avenues within the real estate industry and civil
Yeah.
industry. How do I get into, if I want to get into ESG backed, how do I get into that kind of a space?
No, there even I think even industry has to play a vital role in educating these students at the final year level. That what are the current trends that the industry as a whole is being implementing in their if the builder is doing a sustainable project, what are the various avenues that they can create to these students? That is something that an industry as a body should take a personal call and educate these people out there when they go for placements. Much ahead of placement, they can go educate these people. These are the various avenues that are underlying for you. Look at this, improvise your kind of appetite to better your knowledge in this and skill set in this particular domain. That by then, when they go for placements, I think they are empowered with their civil engineering knowledge plus these kind of latest advancements that are available for them. I think industry has to put one step ahead and then educate them apart from the universities is what I feel.
Perfect. Got it.
There's one more answer I would like to add on to this. See, there are multiple certification based colleges which are put across Pune and Delhi and every place else. I think they can pursue that as well to gain an extra knowledge in terms of what is happening on the industry and that particular front. I think that's probably will be an add-on for them to understand what is they've learned theoretically and what is actually happening on the ground. I think after that probably it might be easier for the students to get a better placement and have and a fair understanding in terms of where they would want to be. That'll probably open up their venue.
So, as in Venkat, follow up to that, right? From a student's perspective, if I do this, will I get a job? Will I
Yes.
get a higher paying job? So,
See,
is
you'll
there
get a
a
job.
direct
See,
route?
I would say that you'll get a job for sure. It's a matter of time. How good are you at that? I'm sure everybody agree right here now who is sitting right. People who have grown, they've only grown when they've learned something from it and then implemented in their day-to-day activity whichever they are into. And that's where things come into. It's not a wand, a magic wand which happens over a period of time that you get a decent job at disposably. Initially, whatever you get, you get. It's good to enter into the space and then you build your career on it over a period of time. Intensifying your journey over a period of time and then learning the skill and whatever new technologies coming into, whatever new methods and designs, as you said rightly, which are coming to the market, and then you develop that.
So, in the interest of the student who is listening to this, right? Everybody, once given an opportunity, can, always, learn and improve and grow and all of that. So, let's say a civil engineer who has not gotten enough opportunities to get a placement within the college, he's, in 3 months going to graduate. In that case, how can he land up in a job like this? And once he lands up in the job, probably all of this will be very helpful for him. But does learning this help him land up a job, or how does he land up a job?
See, you need to start a journey 1 year before even you are actually about to graduate. That's how it should be. You need to do a little bit more than what you are already doing it. The last year basically prepares you for entering into the market. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Karthik. So you need to do whatever updated versions of certifications of whatever you learned in civil engineering. That you need to find the right space with a different college, different institutes, and then apply it accordingly, and then learn that certification, and then move on and then apply for the job. That also shows the employer that you have an interest towards that industry. Otherwise, you are just another guy who's from the college, who's getting certification or on any other graduating 4 year degree. There's no standout point for an employer to be interested in you. I think it and applies more or less to everyone. As a matter of fact, either you experience or not. So
So
it's just an entrance.
adding one point to that, it's all about the demand and supply game. So here there is too much of supply and the demand is very less. That's the reason most of the people go towards the software jobs, completely knocking off the core job. Because even I had a engineering degree, which is an electrical one. I started with a different domain altogether, which is not anywhere related to what I have studied. So somewhere I feel that the current trend is changing. There is an alpha Z which happened in the past. Now it's a generation alpha right now. There is a significant change in terms of the quality of education. So of what I have studied and what's currently going on right now.
And what we're doing right now is not even related actually.
So absolutely. So basically it's all about how you position yourself among the peer group. Like for instance, if I want to keep myself in the shoes of them, rather than me just applying or upskilling myself, first step is upskilling, as you rightly said. That gives me a qualification to apply for an interview. Second thing is how I can grab the attention and eyes of these interviewers. I have to bring in some value addition from my side. It can be of anything. I think just I was scrolling down the LinkedIn. I've been seeing Zomato CEO response on X. I mean, people were giving suggestions saying that these are the frauds which might happen to you in terms of the cashbacks or for the order cancellation. He politely replies saying that, hey, I want to have a quick chat with you. Why can't we
We
quickly
connect.
catch up?
We
So
can catch
that's
up.
the kind
Yeah.
of interaction which the CEOs would like to work with, right? So you have to involve yourself in terms of creating value addition to the companies. So that's where I can see the
In
current
fact,
trend.
I was since he picked up LinkedIn's topic, I saw Nikhil Kamat's LinkedIn message. If you everybody saw it, right? I'll give 50 lakh bucks.
Yeah.
Just find a solution for traffic, find a solution for pollution, find a solution for. See, people who have money, they have interest to find solutions. Of course, not. I'm sure he is a quite a gentleman who has really done well for himself the last 15, 20 years. But beyond a point, of course, you also need suggestions, right? And people do ask in open forum. That's where you come in. You need to put in your perspective there, and probably your answer might be interesting for them to explore it.
So
Further.
I
So yeah.
myself being a recruiting guy for my own team, I go to colleges, I give a job description saying that this is what it is. And before applying that, I give them a case study saying that, boss, you have to solve this case study. And that case study doesn't have a perfect solution. It's just the thought process which I want to analyze. How innovative or radical or incremental innovation he can bring to the table. That's all what I look into a kind of a graduate coming from
And
my
you
decades.
won't believe this generation actually has it.
Yep.
It's just our generation who was very reserved. They wouldn't want
Absolutely.
to say a few things to offend someone. The generation is completely different, so they have that extra edge where they're as candid as they are. So they can give you a very honest views. I'm sure, sir, you since you're dealing with
Yeah.
students every now and then, we would be able to explore a little bit more in
So
this conversation.
to kind of summarize, what you're saying is any given industry or any given leader will be, probably looking for fresh
Solutions
perspectives and
and
all of that.
solutions.
And
See,
as a graduate engineer, he comes in with a fresh perspective which is not stained by the experience. So that could be a opening gate for him to get into
it's
that.
a solution driven market.
Maybe to
Whatever you're
add
getting into,
to
if you
the
don't have the solution, you're you're just another guy. You understood what I'm saying? You need to have that X to another spark to show that, yeah, I think this makes sense.
just to add to it, Gautam, see, as you were mentioning about the India GDP, real estate contribution to it, I'm sure about 15 to 20% of India's GDP is driven by real estate, and it's growing year on year, right?
Thanks to COVID, of course.
Thanks to COVID, of course. Yes, people realize the importance of homes and bigger homes,
Yeah,
larger homes, yeah,
Okay.
larger office
yeah,
spaces,
and the
flexible office
farmlands.
spaces. So
Multiple
see,
things that
yeah,
people have realized the importance and felt that the need of living for themselves, not for generations, is I think that's the
see
kind
new
of trend that
design.
is coming in. Of course, when to an immediate generation is what they were targeting, not that future generations. In the with that add-on, like if the students are empowered with the mindset of not looking at a job or creating a job as an opportunity, utilizing the kind of core domain that they are getting educated from, If they think that I wanted to, how do I get into a job, or what is the job opportunity that are lying in front of me today? Rather, if they change, if the shift is been created in their mindsets, that instead of that, how you can empower yourself to give jobs the moment you get out of the university. I think that is where they will be even more eager or even more passionate to learn things, and adapt to that, the upcoming opportunities that they have, they can create for others. I think that shift also needs to be brought into the people's mindset.
I think passion is the right word. What you said. You need to be passionate. You
Now,
can't
from the
survive in
college
Because
perspective, Gautam, just one point I will say, which both of them were talking about. Though the number of engineers graduating from colleges have increased over the years, most of this increase has been in IT.
absolutely.
In core, it has been pretty stagnant or it
Yes.
has come down over the years. And during admissions, we see that students who take any core engineering, they take that with interest in it. That means especially civil, mechanical, chemical, those who have taken. So how do we understand that is because during admissions, there are several rounds, right? The way it happens in India,
Mm-hmm.
there are
Yeah.
rounds of admission. We see a lot of movement happening in the IT students, where students go from one college to the other, or try to move their branch from some AI to information technology to computer science and so on. But those who take core engineering, they don't move much. They remain there because they have come out of interest in that. So, I mean, I'm just making this point. So, even though the number of graduating engineers, not only in my college, but across India, looks a very large, 85% of that is IT only. Okay, so for example, out of 5,000, I have just 120 civil engineers graduating. And that has been like that since 10 years now. We have not increased that number. But 10 years back, we would have had what? 1,500 or 2,000 engineers graduating. That has increased to 5,000. All the increase is in IT only. So I'm just saying that we noticed this trend, and especially with civil, we have noticed that those who take it out of interest, either because of family business or that type of a background, or they want to pursue this as a career option.
I mean, I just wanted to add towards the part of civil, right? I mean, though we hire a lot of civil engineers within the space of interiors as well, I could say around 60 to 70% of civil engineer students have predominantly taken the uh, diverted their career towards interior space. The reason being that is they also wanted to be creative enough where
Yes.
to step into an interior space and kind of upskill themselves and certify themselves towards an interior space. And though they still work towards the project management and other aspects of working in the industry, there is a different domain altogether to also justify the studies and kind of take the career path towards it.
Sure.
So Bharat wanted to, quickly, because given that you mentioned, right? So if there is a civil engineering graduate and there is a big market for interiors,
Correct.
because of the increase in discretionary spend that India has,
Yeah.
so how does he get into interiors?
See, one is obviously the certification and the upskill that you do towards the
So if I
interior.
do a certification, would I immediately get an
It
interior
is
job?
not. I mean, see, again, what kind of certification that you do towards the interior space? Maybe there are different departments in it where you do it, the interior designing upskill, or you're doing a project management upskill, or you're doing a quality check or a production upskill, right? So it differentiates in different aspects of it because interior design doesn't comprise in one. So they have several stages to it of every process that we do, right? So there are people who studied for designing, and there are people who study for PMC, which is project management. There are people who study for execution, right? So there are different aspects of it, but I see the majority of civil engineers are kind of coming towards interior space, so that there is a larger spectrum of opportunity in interior space for the people who is not very much aligned towards doing the core job.
Okay. So as a quick question, right? Given you guys are, present across pan India and all of that,
Correct.
do you guys, in any form engage with, educational institutions to, kind of have, this as a part of course curriculum, so that you can get trained people right out of college?
See, I mean, there are certain roles which is heavily technical and creative, and there are certain part of roles which is very on ground kind of an approach, right? For example, the project managers and people who work on the project side, predominantly on groundwork, where the people has to go into the sites and visit the site and do the work. Talking about the design and the creative aspect of it, yes, we can able to add into a curriculum if at all the percentage of conversion towards, and now there are a lot of colleges which are certainly doing only fashion and design courses, right? So somewhere you want to integrate within the civil as a part, we can do it, but given a chance that I could see a significant amount of people coming out of civil towards interiors. So the statistics say some 60 to 70% of people are not even preferring towards, as you said, it's a very low key department, right? When you talk about the civil as an option, right? So they always wanted to choose a better career option which gives a growth according to that.
Got it. So as in, coming back to you, right, Rajesh. So what are the core skills should a civil engineer focus on developing if they want to, get into civil, then get into strategy and all of that?
Um, let me start with something which Tata told about. See, it goes like this. If you want to become a wolf, first you have to train with a pack first, right? So it's not that you create a very larger goal in the day one, but that should be the goal. Whenever someone asks that where you see yourself next 5-10 years or so, so that should be the kind of a goal, and you create the blocks from the day one, saying that in terms of learning. So I'll give you a small use case of my own experience. I have studied in three different colleges, and three different colleges comes into multiple segments. The one college is in the district level, where there are no proper placements. The second college is on the state level, where there is the USP for that college is talking about the placements and the companies they are attracting for the placements. And the third college is it's a next level. That's a different league altogether, the ISB. So my thought process goes like this. When I was doing my first engineering, it was always about your curriculums, get certification. That's the core focus. Talking about the second thing, it all depends on your peer group also, right? So my peer group is upskilling, which motivates me also to have a competition along with those people, because when I sit across 100 different people of my classmates, they are my competition. I have to crack the interview at all, right? So I have to upskill based on the kind of the peer group where they stand and where I stand right now. So that will give you a edge over this. And the second thing is, I came across one resume. There was this lady who applied for a sales position. I saw the resume, and it says that she have done 15 certifications from Udemy. It's not about the certifications; it's about the intent of learning things, right? So you will recruit a fresher. It's not like if they don't have an intent of learning things, they never grow, and it's a wrong recruit. But if they have the intent of learning things and growing along with you, you can make them a
I
leader
agree
in
with
next
you.
4 5
I agree
years
with you
as such,
completely.
right?
It's just the intent. It
Yeah,
has to be there. That's where you kind of stand out from the crowd, and you
absolutely.
have to be always better than your peer.
Yeah.
He's right.
I joined AWFIS as a management trainee. All thanks to my manager. He didn't even give me a proper induction. It was like a 15 minutes induction saying that, boss, this is what we do, this is where we are right now, and this is what we are going to achieve in next 5 years. And he said, like, go in the market, do mistakes, meet people, meet CAs, meet lawyers. And those days were the days where they don't know about a managed office space or a built to suit office spaces or a co-working. So we had to create that awareness to the channel partners of us, saying that, boss, there is a concept like this. You can save hell lot of money. We can cut down the cost of 50%. All these kind of experiences, he gave me a freedom to go and experiment in the market, and that is where I also learned. And one small use case was, there was a client of mine in my early days. He literally taught me how to calculate a TDS. He escalated to my manager, saying that he have raised a wrong invoice, and my manager talked about, don't you know about calculating TDS? Because I am from sales. that's completely related to a finance, but it's a startup. You have to know everything what's happening in that.
True.
So and he called me out and he said like, boss, okay, fine. So happened is happened. I'll teach you how to calculate it, TDS. So I had hands-off experience on finance related things. I recruited my own team. I was also part of the operations because in co-working you have to be there for next 2 months just to have a smooth experience with the client. And I was having the throughout journey of the client experience, starting from the sales to the onboarding to operation related issues, and also on the finance side of it. And lastly, it's a client retention also. If he is not happy, you are the one who have to go in and bridge the gaps over there. So my suggestions for the upcoming Gen Alpha or Beta, whatever you can say, is that you have to stand out from the crowd. You create a brand for yourself. It can be of anything. Reach out to any of the leader, or not the CXOs or CEOs. Reach out to a manager saying that, boss, I am at third year, fourth year. I want to learn something. Can I shadow you? Shadow can be of even a
Mentoring.
very small thing.
I think what he's trying to say is this: it's just mentorship,
Absolutely.
which needs to be there. And I've learned this hard way after completing many years. I understood you needed better. You have to rely on, he relies on you in some sense, and then you move from there. It makes complete sense what you're saying.
So even for civil and the other batches, it's not about your own core. It's about the entire ecosystem you have to get prepared with.
Got it,
And
Rajesh.
everybody needs it. Let me be very honest. It's not just a guy just graduating from college. People like us also need mentorship. But beyond a point, if you need to grow, right? For example, if I'm stuck in one position, if I want to go and become one of the management, you know, reach to a management space, then I have to upgrade myself. How do I do it? The guy whom I'm next reporting to, or guy who's just above me, learn from him, sit with him, spend more time. Now, that's what I've been doing for last 2 days. He was asking me, I hardly slept for 8 hours. I've been networking completely. That's what I've been doing. So you need to have that interest. You need to have that fire within you. If you don't do that, you never grow. That's as simple as that.
Got it. So coming to you, Bharat. So
Sure.
someone experienced in new interior markets, right? Where do you see the most opportunity for a civil engineer in interiors field? Within all the segments that you mentioned, where do you see
Correct.
the biggest opportunity for them?
See, the major opportunity lies in project management, because the project management and how you handle the PMC within the given space, right? So, uh, the project management is derived in different aspects of it, where you can talk about the technology inclusion into it, or how you are uh, treating a particular customer to it. Probably you should able to see how this project management can be diversified within your role, and through the technology and through the inclusion of your customer satisfaction, because the project management is something that derives the uh, entire second half of the segment of any project that you onboard within your company. Let's say there are two divisions of certain project that you take, right? So there is a creative team who works till 50%, and there is the project management team who works for the next 50%, right? So there predominantly comes with the technology inclusion, where you track the projects accordingly, and goes within the given timelines to maintain your customer satisfaction levels to the extreme ends, right? So and kind of justify it, and hand over the projects according to that. So we predominantly works on larger volumes of projects in interior space, where the inclusion of technology is very important, and as well as how you certainly give that personal touch towards every customer and customize them, and giving the kind of feedbacks at every stage of the project is very, very important as well.
So, as a follow up to that, right?
Yeah,
So, when you say project management piece, client relation piece also kind of comes
correct,
in.
correct.
So, so you mean to say somebody who's an engineer who also can manage projects and can build fantastic relationship, so they would be at the top of the value chain, or how do you see that?
See, exactly, but see again, the civil as a core, core, a career as an option when they choose into the side of an interiors, right? When they come out, you kind of get into a client serving role where you talk about the handling of clients, where it comes with, though the technology is very common across the industry as per se, where when you get as an individual into it, how you treat every customer at a customer centric role is certainly gives the difference of value, right? So if you can able to uh, adapt to the technology and able to give that customer satisfaction by end of the day on every customer that you handle. Let's say for example, I'll quickly give an example how a PM role works, right? So there is a PM who handles 3 to 5 projects in a month, right? So out of 3 to 5 projects, he might be certainly having different designations of time slots or the timelines towards the project, right? So he should able to know what is the task to be done today, and is those tasks to be delivered by end of the day or not, and who are the cross functional teams that they have to connect with, right? Is that the design team, is it the operations team, or is this a execution team? What are the things to be done by end of the day? And it's kind of a daily activity, right? So it improves on the we normally do a net promoter score on every project level, right? So every project manager would certainly get the kind of incentivized based on the net promoter score that they get out of projects that they deal with, right? So let's say a PM is handling some 10 to 15 projects in a month, right? So out of 10 to 15, it always adds a value towards how you uh, deliver the projects according to the executionist matters.
Got it. Got it. So switching back to you, right, Vani. So when you say, when you say real estate and entrepreneurship, kind of, people perceive it as a null set because real estate requires a lot of investment and all of that. So for entrepreneurs who want to be in real estate, right? What are the technical, non-technical skills required, and what do you think is a way for somebody to become an entrepreneur within real estate?
Great question. One of my favorite questions, I can say. The reason is, I was very good at math. I was a math student in my PU. I want to get into computer science. I wrote my entrance. I got a admission too. While walking in the university campus, I saw the board of, the pharmacy college there. I had two elder brothers. One did engineering, one did pharmacy. Engineering graduate couldn't get job for almost 1 year plus. The pharma graduate got a job in a week's time. That triggered me that, okay, if I finish pharmacy, I'll get a job. So I told my dad, no, I will join pharmacy. That's how I ended up becoming a pharma graduate. But of course, yes, any graduation does help for a livelihood. But as you sail through the journey, there's a lot of skill set that you one should acquire. You know, it's not necessarily that once you've done your civil engineering, you have to end up your life building projects or doing in infrastructures or anything else. There could be uh, various other opportunity that comes your way. But once you have the right skill sets adopted, like one of the biggest strength that had taught me, coming from healthcare, then because of the ups and downs, and finally ending up into real estate. I never studied real estate to be a realtor, what I am today. Right? No university, unfortunately, teaches real estate as a subject or kind of a degree. That nowadays it is just in a budding stage, though.
RICS is doing it
And
now, I think.
through this appeal, and I also appeal Vishwakarma to consider putting up real estate as one of the, I mean,
Subjects.
the subject itself and as a course. That is where it can give a lot of insights even into the civil engineering graduates. The moment you graduate out of civil, not necessarily you want to jump into such opportunities like to be a realtor. Today I'm telling you, it's not about the degree that you carry or the kind of specialization you graduate out of is what is going to give you great bread and butter or the passion that you can drive with. It is about the what is in it that you can do better. That is one thing that I learned during my networking, being very closely working with the networking organizations. As I was mentioning, the passion thing, yes, of course, and being having a right mentor. These are the two things that I have, in the last 9 years of my journey in very close links with networking, I have learned, and I'm practicing. So my take here is for the students, learn to network from the college days. whichever department that you are graduating in, at the university level, you get enormous opportunities that the universities strive hard to provide to these students, like inter-college competitions. They are not just created or curated for some fun or to as a mandate that the universities are doing. They are creating a platform to use. Who outperform, who kind of take a voluntary roles or kind of get involved in organizing or kind of curating, participate in those inter-college competitions in the specific domains that they are kind of curating for these students. When you participate, you learn the best of the things from the other universities. You learn the best of things from your other colleagues, I mean, the fellow college mates in the other college from the other colleges. I closely see that in my own daughter. She is pursuing entrepreneurship at an university in Bangalore. I never told her to pursue that as a career. Looking at us and looking at our friends in this journey, she took up that as a curriculum and she participates in. That's what I observed, that when a student at the student level itself, when you start practicing or implementing networking skill, it definitely carries a lot of weightage for the students. And when you network, you definitely have to improve your communication skills by default. You definitely have to improvise your managerial skills to curate the event or to handle that event. So you are forced to do that, but your passion is driving to do that. I think these are the areas that one should look at other than the studies that they pursue.
So adding one point to Vani's discussion. So I see this in IB's perspective because we evaluate multiple files day in day out. See, it's all about solving a problem. So I'll give you three use cases which happened during my stint with co-living and co-working. So there was a guy who started an interior firm, and when the co-working boom started, he capitalized on the co-working concept itself. Because in co-working concept, the major expense for you is the project. You have to build a structure so that you can sell it. So that becomes a forward integration for them. And the second use case, I know one person who was selling the manufacturing of sofas, and he was a design thinker. He created good sofas, and now he got into the co-working. Because that also is like a backward or a forward integration. It's all about solving a problem in that particular industry. It's not about you having huge capital or reaching out to VCs that I'm trying to solve this. It's like you pick up a problem, do a market research, analyze on that problem, how many competitors you have, how better you can solve it. So after you have a solution, do a pilot, have 3 4 clients, then you can reach out to multiple VCs and multiple mentors. They can guide you out through, and this way, at least the entrepreneurial stint you can have by solving a problem.
Exactly. Just to add, if I can, 3 years I've been working for various builders as channel partner. Work very closely with builders and the home buyers. Right? When we were working closely with them, I understood that they're not buying home not just to live there, maybe as an investment option, but they end up having it as a liability than as an asset.
Yeah.
Right? There are various things that there are a lot of gaps. So we found that as a problem. We are addressing in the current company to just address that particular problem as a solution.
How can you build an asset than the liability?
Liability.
Yeah.
How can
That's
you
what.
monetize the asset
So
rather?
10 years before, this concept was
No,
not
not
there.
there.
I mean, people were not even thinking that there is an investment opportunity, something like this, where you can make a yield of 9 to 14%, if I'm not wrong.
So actually, Vani's thing is, Vani got 90% returns in his first project for all the investors.
Absolutely. It's the safest bet. You have a collateral as a property. Right?
The point is here is not about the return per se. The kind of opportunity that we found, the problem was an opportunity for us.
It's a value-driven approach as well.
System. And see, there are thousands and lakhs of realtors, and why we stood out or why we kind of we understand. You work closely with your client. You don't think that they are a one-time client. You build meaningful relationships with them. That is when you understand their concern, their problem. Why is that you're buying? You're buying. I'm fine. The moment I sell, I make my money. Why should I even bother about why you are buying?
Yeah.
That is a transaction. But the moment you start interacting with the client deeply, understand why is he buying that particular property, that is when they open up and they come back and say that I'm just looking out to park in my surplus fund. I'm not very sure about whether I should be buying this or that. So that is when we, as a consultant, should take up the responsibility to educate them and give them the right insights, not just take that opportunity of selling the property that they are looking to buy, make money. That way, we took it as a passion, and I think
I think it
they
also
exceeded.
applies into civil engineering as
Yes,
well,
yes.
right? For example, if you see a design flaw, you know this is going to create problem. For example, if you have too many pillars on the floor, and you know that usability comes into the picture, efficiency comes into the picture, you know it's going to flaw the entire design out of it. If you foresee that, then you of course go back and then you take that opportunity and reach out to the respective person to figure out and then solve that issue at the design phase itself. So I think this could be used as a in multiple stages is what I was
Yep, yep, yep.
coming up to. So to solve the problem, see, as I said, it's all about problems solving when it comes to entrepreneurship. It's about nothing else. I've done for quite some time, and I understand and I relate to what they are speaking about. So yeah, completely makes
See,
sense.
it's like, just to add to it, in a recent example during the floods, I mean, during the recent rains that Bangalore has witnessed, we have two things there. One is a building collapse, water flooding. Both are the great opportunities for civil engineers to think on what is the way that they can add value to this sort of calamities that can happen within our own space of living, right? That is one of the kind of challenges. A couple of months before, everywhere across the social media, the water scarcity across Bangalore was a big talk. People said, real estate and Bangalore has gone. And post that also, we are selling homes. We are. It's not about water. As a responsible citizens, how, as for example, when we are talking addressing to the civil engineers, what is that innovative ways that you can curate to make a sustainable water recycling? You can, water conservations as an, that is where you stand out than the others. When you are becoming part of a builder project or a builder company, or if you are creating your own construction company, these are the value system that you should adopt as a policy, not just as a construction or
It's also about infra and urban
absolutely.
planning as well. See what now most of the issues where you know that roadblock has happened just because water is being stagnant there. Why is it happening? I think most of us understand Bangalore is ever expanding. It's been expanding for at least last 15 years. Look at example of outer most of the times when there's rain that we get stuck there for 5 years so called, and then people discuss for a day and the next day people kind of forget. So I think that's where students should pick their use case from.
So Nikhil Kamath would have been got stuck with the traffic maybe because that's where he have tweeted that
Yeah.
I want
So
someone to
see
solve
the
this.
thing you have an opportunity for students also there's that how do I reduce it? Now for example, whatever the construction has happened, most of that material only gets into those spaces, right, where the water has to recede to. So you need to find out how do you reduce that. So there are opportunities always in every problem what you face. If you find solutions, you can. So yeah, why not? Why not there?
So now I a question to you. So I've asked this question to all of them except you. So if a civil engineer is graduating within the co-working space, how can he start off his career? And how lucrative is it to start off in the co-working space?
See, it's an to give you a perspective. Before COVID, it was just 3% of overall real estate, revenue across the board. Now it's 30%.
The co-working sharing.
The co-working share and the managed space around 30%, and it's growing at a rapid pace. So I think MEP is one of the places. Structural design, I think the design and build is I think one of the other places where into I think that's where it would be. If you look at real estate perspective from the builder's end, I think it's more to do with the construction. I think that's where it
Yeah,
would be.
from the right from the design stage to the construction,
From
project
the
management.
project management from our from the co-working or the managed space office provider, I think that's where opportunities are. That's where opportunities are
Got it.
majorly.
Got it. Karthik, I wanted to, kind of ask you from an, an academic perspective, right? What is Vishwakarma doing to help these students develop these critical skills of value addition and all of that, so that they will be able to, get directly into the industry and start contributing?
Yeah. So since maybe about 5 or 6 years, we have a very good internship program for the students. We started it off initially with summer internships, making it mandatory for students to work summer interns for 2 months. Later we expanded it to 6 months, and now many of our students go almost for a year, as an intern in the final year. So we had to do a lot of rework of our curriculum, where we ensured that whatever subjects we generally cover in 4 years of engineering, we cover that in the first 3 years itself, so that the final year student is almost entirely available. And because I'm not from civil, so I noted it down actually just before coming. The areas where students have been doing internships, uh, as project management, what he was talking about, in structural engineering, surveying, infrastructural engineering, environment. These are some areas which they have been working. And uh, almost 75-80% of the students, they end up doing an internship somewhere, and decent places like Godrej Infra, Shapurji, Palonji, the many companies they have, L&T Infra, many companies who hire our students, Mahindra Life Spaces, they go either as an intern, and they finally get absorbed also over there. So this is one area that we have been looking at. Though now, of course, this talk has also opened up this design, this interior design, or understanding real estate itself, because engineering tends to be, especially civil engineering, tends to be more mathematical driven, if you know, right? It's there's a lot of mathematics in it. uh, right, in fact, because if you see the subjects also, traditionally strength of materials and so many things, there's a lot of rigor of mathematics behind it. But at the end of the day, as I understand while speaking to most of these leaders here, that people actually need to know several other skills as well, be it interiors or real estate, or the costing involved, the business, dealing with the customer.
The fundraising,
These are
everything. Yeah.
skills which again are extremely important, which perhaps are sometimes not covered in engineering but should be there. So that is one takeaway certainly, which I will need to. But I think from what I understand is, in the internship, when student actually goes to a field and works as part of a project, there they pick up these things. It tends to happen like that. That's how it is.
I mean,
Gautam, if I
just
could
to,
add
yeah,
one aspect here, one area where civil engineers can play a major role in adding to the real estate as industry is home inspection services. That as an industry in itself is huge, it's vast. You see lakhs of apartments are being built across the country every year, right? People look at legal due diligence, people look at plan approvals. That doesn't even really bother about how well the builder has built the property or built the project. They doesn't even care to check whether everything is in place as per committed specifications. Civil engineering being the right graduation to assess whether the particular project in all, there are the 100 parameters plus that one has to check before buying a project property. But this industry is very, very small. I can say I have sold about over 500 plus properties in the last 3 years. Not even 1% asked I want to go for a home inspection. Imagine that's a vast industry that one can look at as a career option or as an entrepreneurship option for civil engineers especially.
And there are certifications for this as well.
Yep.
FII.
yeah. I mean, I just wanted to add up to Karthik's conversation, right? So I just want to tell, I've hired around 200 to 300 freshers from last 2.5, 3 years, right? So out of this, there is a very significant pattern that every civil engineer who onboards with us, there's a kind of a student journey for them, right? They comes out of college, they starts with supervising the site. So that would be an ideal job when somebody comes as a student, right? So once this started supervising the sites of the interior, the projects that we do, from there, there are around 40 to 45% of the people significantly started parallelly studying the interior courses, right, and getting into a designer role, right. So that is where the kind of pivot of what they themselves do it after understanding that they are what they want to do. And there is about 20-25% of people who is very much interested in talking to the clients and kind of understand the selling part of it. They predominantly move towards the sales within the industry itself. And there's about 10-15% of the people who wanted to do quality checks, because there is a significant amount of people who knows the civil as a structure, right? When they understand the real estate and how the certain building a functionality works, right? So they we give an opportunity to them to work as a quality supervisors, right? So from there, the other segment of the people will predominantly go with the similar path of construction and other aspects of it. But this was the ideal student journey where we have seen from last 2 3 years in our company, where whoever joined as a fresher predominantly focused in these areas. So that may also works for somebody as a blueprint if somebody wanted to take the career into this.
So follow up, right, Bharat? So if a student wants to, improve his skills on project management or client relations, right?
Correct.
How does he do that?
Improve as a different aspects of looking at. One is you learn it from the existing tools that the certain company is working on, right? And there is something that you with respect to project management per se, right? So different companies works on different aspects of it. One is there are certain architect firms who predominantly focused more towards sustainability, handling core values towards the side of it. There is a significant amount where people handles on the modular front, where 60-70% of the market right now is focused towards modular, right? So that segment of project management is certainly different, right? So the opportunity is towards modular is much bigger than what you talk about the sustainable and greenery concepts, because that is very niche profile to look into. But say the kind of roles and responsibilities would certainly be the same according to the requirement of the companies.
It's just a working on a different product. I think that's what it's all about. Got it.
So kind of, transitioning from there to career transitions, right? Rajesh, I wanted to start off with you because you have an interesting career transition that you've done. So what you've done is you've started off with real estate, you've been there, and then you moved into, investment banking. How did starting off in real estate, kind of help you move into investment banking, and how did it shape your career?
So I'll talk the journey from AWFI's days. It was a campus placement at Alliance University. So I was positioned as management trainee. I got a free hand in terms of learning and tapping clients and conversions and everything. So I was more positioned into the sales part. So that's where I started interacting with the CXOs, because a CEO and a CFO is the signing authority in this, because they are taking up office space and all. So when your peer group or when you are interacting with the clients who are at that level, so obviously you absorb certain traits from them, the way you speak, the the kind of language you use, the kind of slang you use, the kind of quick thought process they have in terms of negotiations. That helped me learn multiple aspects of it. So that really helped me out to take kind of a risk and join a company which is in a very very early stage. And I took up as a challenge, saying that there is a company and I have to build it from the scratch. And when I made an exit, it was almost 20 CR is what they were making. Almost there was like 300x kind of a jump in terms of revenue. That's the kind of leadership traits you absorbed when you are working with these people, right? So that was my sales experience. I was more into transactions, customer engagement, account management and stuff. But my long term goal, where I could see myself in next 5 years, 10 years, was investment banking. Obviously, when I was in sales, you can't directly jump into investment banking. No one really cares for that. So I created a path for reaching that. The first path was to have a brand. uh, the brand obviously came from a premium business school of ISB. That was a game changer for me. So that literally helped me to change my domain from sales to strategy part of it. Again, my industry didn't change. I was still with the real estate, but the product got changed from co-working to a co-living. So where in investor relations, I was more interacting with the VCs and PEs of the world who have invested in the company. Obviously, you learn certain things and you widen your network over there. and it's all about selling. Once you are a sales guy, you always good at being sales guy. So that literally helped me to get featured on a cover page magazine as India's top 10 chief strategy officers. That was under a storyline that, you know, a boy coming from countryside to getting into a corporate giant. So that featured the entire journey, starting from my first MBA to second MBA and getting into the strategy side of it. So then, as I got into investor relations, so you day in day out you interact with them, sharing the MIs and few other things. Then the next step where I could see that, you know, where I can add on to my KRA was fundraise. Fundraise has two aspects to that. One is on the equity, one is on the debt side. Debt side is like a treadmill. So as in when you need funding, the easy access is on the debt side, but the equity takes a long stint. So I had access to get on to fundraise as well. That literally opened up doors for me to get into the private credit and NBFCs and capital markets as such. So I got into this Orange Retail Finance, which is an NBFC, where I do take care of the equity fundraise and also the investor relations. So that literally helped me to widen my network and start my own firm. Let's say after 2-3 years of working in the private credit market. So so it's like one success brings the other success, and the other things will follow whatever you have done. Out of throughout the journey, one thing which I can proudly talk about is the learning experience and the network which I have built. So there is always a hunger for learning, and there is always a hunger for improving and widening my network. So that's what I suggest for the upcoming graduates as well. So it's not that, you know, you have to finish off your graduation, then you have to get into that. No, you set up a goal in the early days, create your own path, saying that okay, this is my path, let me work on that. Build fast, fail fast. It's like you build it, you create a path, you work on that. If you fail, okay, fine, you're not losing anything. You build a second path to that, and maybe that would be a success game for you. So that literally helps you out to reach the goal where you are right now. So that's my story out of that. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. One interesting thing to note here is that all the four of you are in sales. Okay.
Absolutely.
And I come from a sales background as well, but from an analytics standpoint of view. But then, I think sales is the fastest way to grow in any organization.
Yeah.
And sales is, kind of is not looked upon by graduates. It's like sales. Like that's
I'm
where
also
the
in
money.
sales, by the way.
No, usually
A
students.
finished product is a student of engineering college. I'm approaching companies and saying that, hey, look, come on, look at.
Sales is where the money is. If somebody wants to become big in their career, sales is the way to
Yeah.
go. So Venkat, I want to come to you on that, right? So how does somebody transition into a sales or a marketing role when they start out as a civil engineer and then get into real estate?
See, it's
How do
very,
they
it's a
transition?
very interesting question. You won't believe most of the engineers are actually sales guys.
I think that's so
true.
do I.
See,
I'm a
yeah,
sitting
true, right.
example
So,
over here.
see, it's all about numbers, as you rightly said. If you can calculate that, no, nothing like it. And you have, of course, the smartness. When you've studied for 4 years, cracked, colleges where you went to, you're smart enough to survive in that market altogether. And you understand where the market, looks at and what exactly market needs. So yeah, it makes complete sense.
And it's proven that every CEO is sales. The core trait is sales, right? Selling.
So yeah, it starts from selling you first.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. See, most of meetings when I go, right, it's a wolf pack. That's how I look at it. It's not me. I go, go alone with one. Even if it's a small requirement or a requirement as big as for a 1500 or a 2000 seater capacity office space, we go as a pack and we first sell ourselves before even selling the company, before even selling the product. That's what we do. So I am this, he is this, no, he's done so much of work. So basically that sets the stage for you to hey, see, we are here to talk about serious business and we have done business before and this is what we can deliver to you. So that's where it comes to. And then you get on to the next step of saying, okay, hey, just tell me about your company. We want to understand why you require a particular space if you want in a particular place. And then we touch on the pain points. Of course, as Vani said rightly, I think that's where the why do you want to invest? Why do you need that space? What is the current problem you're facing? I think
Rather
that's
than
what. But see, it's
selling,
all about you being very smart about choosing your right questions in front of the audience, so that you get the answers. So it's also about hearing. I understand, but you need to ask the right questions also to get things sorted.
And surprisingly, when we were talking about sales, right? So though we are very design oriented and we call it as an interior design firm where we call it as creative in it, right? Any civil engineer or any background per se, right? So when they come into a company, right, they always starts with sales as a profession, right? Then they move towards design. So selling is something that which everybody and anybody has to do at an entry level.
It starts from actually floating a resume.
Huh.
It starts from actually you coming and giving it
And
to. What are you
for
doing? You're
example,
selling
when I
yourself,
was
right?
Yeah.
What you're doing nothing else, actually speaking.
I'll
So-
tell you the power of sales in one use case. Okay, when I was interacting, I was like 24, and the one who is sitting opposite me was around 50 plus, and it was more of a exchange of things, right? It's not like we are making the other person false ill or something like that. It's just the exchange of things. And the second thing was, see, when I was with debt raise and equity raise, I had an opportunity to be a panelist in a NBFC conclave. And trust me, the ones who are sitting next to me was 50 plus years and who are CROs, CFOs, CEOs, and I was like 32 years. I was like the youngest among that. So that's the power of sales. It doesn't have any age band or something like that. So it's all about how you sell yourself, irrespective of civil, electrical, or anything else. It all depends on what you sell
it
yourself.
doesn't matter which background you come from.
Yeah.
You have to still sell. You sell yourself or you don't. If you don't, then you don't end up going anywhere. See why? So I'll tell you something. When you, I think I would like to ask this question with the panelists as well. When anybody sits in front of in front of you for an interview, what do you mostly look at? It's
And
Charisma.
it starts with communication and it goes to how he predominantly put himself.
What
towards
you
it.
have done so far.
exactly. So
I mean, we're talking about a fresher, so that's what it is. Yeah.
I'm looking at interesting questions that he'll ask me. It's not more like I ask him questions. What are the things that he wants to know from me? That are the things that kind of pick my interest, specifically speaking. And when you say sales, right? So from an engineering perspective, right? I joined in as a data scientist, but then it was very boring for me to sit in front of a computer, not talk to anybody, and all of that. I moved into sales. Okay, so when I was in as a data scientist, I joined in Mu Sigma during its glory days. But then I was reporting to a team lead, and then the team lead was reporting into an associate manager, and then a manager, and then a senior manager. Okay, so that is, and then all the rest of the hierarchy was there. I one day, out of the blue, went and spoke to, the chief operations officer and told, I want to move to sales. What should I do? And then, like, you talk to this guy, head of pre-sales. I talked to him, and then we speak for half an hour, and then he's like, okay, you're hired tomorrow onwards. You come here. I was like 4 or 5 months into the system, and I'm like, okay, fine, done. And then what happened was the moment I got into sales, I started interacting with the who's who of the company.
exactly.
Like all the CXOs of the company were involved
Access.
in some sort of pre-sales process to convert the client. And I was talking to all of these guys. So these guys were the 45, 55 range guys
You
you're
get an
talking.
accessibility.
So
I
you
think
get the
that's
accessibility. Suddenly, then what happened was I was 2 levels below the CEO, the head of sales, and then I reported into the head of sales directly. And then my senior manager was 4 levels below my delivery senior manager was 4 levels below the CEO. So she had come to my bay, and I taunted her saying that, look, I'm now more senior than you. I'm 2 levels to the CEO, you're 4 levels. She was around 40, 45,
Yep.
and she was 4 levels below the CEO, and I was 21. I was like 2 levels below the CEO.
it's a very interesting place to be in when it comes to any part of being the sales or marketing or inside sales. Very interesting journey. You would if you have the right skill set and if you are hungry to gain more insights. Now, for example, digital marketing is one of the places where that's why my interest grew in. So during COVID, I understood absolutely if you're not present digitally, you are nobody. you're actually nobody in the ground. So that's one part which I understood, and I learned that. And in fact, actually, Bharat, you know, somehow indirectly, I think Bharat actually helped me to get into, to understand how digital marketing works. So from there, my interest also go, and I understand why is it required. So it's part of sales process altogether as well. So there are multiple sections if you are really interested to kind of grow. And
Gautam, my one question, as you were saying, I was just thinking, if an organization is in bad times and has to fire people, would it be right to say that the sales is the last to go?
Yeah.
Because if they send the sales
Exactly.
guy out, the business is down there itself.
no,
It's-
they're the first people
it's
because
like-
they're high paid. That's the reason.
They're the first people. But then the question
conversions
is,
are
if
not
they are
happening.
out, how is the
No,
business going
no,
to go?
actually, it differs. I mean,
I just thought about it.
yeah.
How will the business run, right? In any organization.
It's a risk and reward.
very, very
scope.
high risk, high reward game.
That's how it is. If you're doing well, nobody can touch you. You whatever you want, you will get.
You can go like a gunda. You can pull a stunt with anybody in the office and still get away with it as long as you're bringing money to the table.
You were saying something, sorry.
So I'm telling that it differs from industry to industry. Though I worked with different companies, maybe the point that Venkat was also trying to say, there are high chances when you are highly paid. The possibilities of you, because it's very simple, right? For example, your pay versus the revenue that you bring it on the table, it's very important, right?
Yes.
Let's say you are less paid and you're giving more revenue towards any organization, you always be there. And if you're highly paid and you're not justifying your cost, then obviously the first hit comes to you, right? So that's how it works.
It's also about strategy. What strategy you bring into the table. If your strategy sucks and if you are not able to successfully execute it, then you're gone. That's what it is.
Taking from Bharat to justify one example triggers in my mind. Like in 2009 when I went for Royal Enfield dealership, I was think around my 29 30s that point of time. I was mentioning that you're surrounded by all ages, right? 45 when we were sitting in podcast. I was in that dealer interviews where all the other dealers are all kind of aged or kind of
Seasoned.
well-to-do kind of. I was just a budding entrepreneur, and the gentleman asked me the question: at this age, how will you get the funds? At this age, how will you manage a business? At this age, how can you even think of owning a Royal Enfield dealership when the business is not that great that point of time for Enfield itself? I only had to justify why I need the dealership. It's not about I just wanted to do some business. I had to tell them that my hometown doesn't have the dealership. That's why I'm applying, and it's not that any other automobile dealership I am coming for. I know it is a kind of a premium brand and not doing
Low
so
moving.
great at that point of time, pre-classic vehicle launch. I had to tell them with a justification that I was owning a Baskin Robbins outlet in the very own hometown. That was the first of outlet in the entire Andhra state apart from the metro city. I fought and I got that outlet there to serve the premium clientele. And it's not that others cannot afford. It's not there, so they are not able to experience the product. That's the punch I played, and then I got the dealership, and the rest is a history. 5 years I was owning the dealership, and then Samay Kendra came. There was a lot of challenges, and back in real estate.
Venkat, one question I had.
Sure.
Can I ask him? Yeah.
Sure, please go
See,
ahead, shoot.
in sales, how do you quantify the effort of the person? I'll give you an example. If the market is doing good, perhaps if the sales guy without much effort can show a lot of result.
True.
But if the market is bad, the poor guy works very hard, but perhaps nothing much comes up. I mean, I'll give my situation. So,
I can
as
sense
a
the pain.
placement officer, during COVID times, placement was so easy for me. I just had to answer the phone call. That's it. I always had a dozen missed calls where companies wanted guys to take from the college. But after the COVID, because that's how the hiring was, right, in the IT sector. But later, now I have to work much harder, contact people, go here, there, meet guys, But the results still perhaps sometimes may not be as great. So that's what I was asking. So how as a, I'm trying to raise this question for the benefit of the students who would see this to understand, how would the manager, see the sales guy in terms of this? How should he see rather? Yeah.
See, it's about continuity. First thing first. If you're not continuously putting any effort on a particular work which you're assigned to, you not get results. That's one. Strategy. Second, if, for example, if you're working on a particular strategy for a month and you're not able to get the result, change your strategy. Now, for example, I'll give you a very good example during COVID, and as which I was talking about. So I took over the projects. Within 6 months, I was able to lease out. Back then, there were customers giving back spaces. If they had 1,000-seater office, they were giving back spaces left, right, and center to developers. I did business at that time. How? First, I reached out all to all of the IPCs, JLL, CBRE, to get me, because we had a property of around 1.5 lakh square feet with Mr. Pawan Bajaram. I think I was handling their asset at that point of time. So I understood it's not gonna, work out for me. I understood it's more of downsizing market right now, more than people coming and taking larger spaces. So then I changed my strategy. I went and talked to most of the clients directly at that point of time. You name it, all the startups, all the companies who are from SME and going, growing further. So I understood that is also not going to happen because most of our working from home or hybrid model. That's how it was. And like, what is growing? So I went through papers. I went through, spoke to a lot of people and understood finally managed spaces where companies are growing and they want to take up the asset at the right time. See, I'll tell you why it grew also. The rentals went down drastically at that point of time. So they understood people are desperate, landlords are desperate to give the spaces. There are a lot of deals which went back. So that helped me to kind of do the business at that time. So you have to be smart enough to understand what market needs at that point of time. So I change my strategy every now and then to see which one worked. You have to keep trying. See, even with my current company, I'm trying. We are a new entrant to Bangalore. We have hold around 0.6 million square feet right now. And it's an established market already. There are a lot of players who are doing the same business as what we are doing as of now. But we want to stand out and deliver the product which we want to deliver, and then we understand basically what customers want as well. So that's why we are targeting for specifically like enterprise clients because they want a specific space according to their custom needs and so on and so forth. So you need to have the right solution to the answers of issues whatever you're facing during a period of
So
time. I think
adding
that's what-
one use case to Venkat's example, during my co-working spaces, no. See, the model started something like we used to take up 10,000, do the office space interiors. We used to give 3 seats, 5 seats, 10 seats, 20. Now, over a period of once we started, within 1 year, people started demanding that I don't want this. I want to build my own customized office or something like that. So, the sales guy can do miracles if you hire the right one, or he have the right appetite of thinking what happens in next 6 months, 1 year. So then the interesting use case was we took up the next co-working spaces. We built only whatever the basic needs, reception, the entry and the
the
exit,
common areas.
common
Is
areas,
what we did.
and the remaining used to be a bare shell. Bare shell in the sense it doesn't have anything. It's just a shell. We used to take a tour and say them that we used to give a visual
A 3D
representation.
3D,
It was
yeah.
no 3D.
There's
It
no
was
3D,
just
yeah?
like
Oh,
a
okay.
MATLAB drawings. Like you have those
Understood.
drawings saying
Yeah.
this, sir, you will have this cabin over here. It just looks like this. It looks like this, and it really went well. And we sold out within 2 months of signing that particular property. And that's the power of sales guy. I mean, he
You have
keeps
to be
on
very
innovating with
imaginative.
things.
And you have to be very imaginative, right?
Yeah.
And you have to be on your feet all the time. You have to think what the other guy is going to think before even he thinks. You understand what I'm saying, no? You have to be very preemptive here.
In your
That's where
case,
it is.
right, when your traditional placement officer is all about sending cold emails and going to conferences, collecting cards and all of that. So what you've done is you've pioneered a strategy of building talent pipelines for companies. So now the company's invested 2 years before even the candidate comes on board.
Yeah.
So the company has a steady stream of candidates coming in.
Sure,
So
sure.
now you've built that kind of a strategy. So that strategy is what is paying you dividends right now.
Yeah.
Versus people who've been still trying the traditional model. So as a sales guy, look, if you want to grow in your career, sales is the fastest way. If you want visibility in your career, sales is the fastest way. But yeah, if you want to get fired fast also, if you're not a performing sales guy, you might get the axe very fast than because the regular guys will all be 2-3 layers shielded. A sales
Yes.
guy will be like bare out in the open.
Also, the sales guy, what happens? He has to show the numbers of this quarter, this year. Example,
uh,
like if I have to report, the
No,
placements,
it's
I
not
can't
even
say
quarter
what happened in the
nowadays.
last 6 years. I have to
These
say
days
what I have done in the last 6 months.
it's these
So,
days
so
months actually.
It's
yeah.
it's not even quarter now. It's
It's
months.
No,
months
no,
now.
I'm saying from my perspective. See,
Quarters
because
actually
this,
to just for to build a pipeline. I think that's where
Actually,
it
when
is.
you ask that how you quantify it, right? So it's very simple. Thumb rule is supply equivalent to demand, or there is very fundamental rule of any salesperson who's stepping into an organization is you certainly reach and you stepped into it. 10 people join, but how you thrive towards it or find a right job for you is, see, there are a segment of companies that is in the market when you look into it. For example, when I talk about interiors as per se, right, there are certain players in the market who is already been established and kind of a brand which is visible in the market, and there are people who is certainly not a very renowned brands, right? So you have to choose where you want to step into it and how you have to prepare for it and adapt to the companies, and based on that you certainly push and thrive for the numbers.
So the idea is that, so I wanted to come back to you on this, Vani. So what are the different facets in which real estate will evolve, and what will be the different types of careers do you see students having right out of college and all of that?
See, spoken enough about sales. We've spoken enough about interiors. Spoken enough about co-working. Much more beyond that, real estate is seeing a lot of trigger nowadays, in terms of the weekend homes, in terms of the warehousing, logistics, huge logistics parks being coming into the uh, country now. A lot of large companies are investing huge amount, over 450 acres of warehouse logistics park being sanctioned towards North Bangalore. The huge potential of various other verticals of real estate being out there in the market. So it's up to the students to pursue uh, certain skill set which can align with those sort of development that the government initiatives are coming in. As you mentioned, that in the initial time we were discussing about sustainability. The huge focus has been given both from the government sector as well as the builders community as a whole. A lot of focus has been on the sustainability in everything that they are doing at this point of time. If they can consider looking at building something around that, I think there's a huge potential for them to capitalize on.
Got it. So, Venkat, coming to you, right? You said co-working spaces evolved into managed spaces during COVID because that was a new trend. And then I kind of wanted to understand, how do you see current co-working spaces, managed office spaces evolving in the future, and how do you think civil engineers, the graduating, can capitalize on that trend?
See, I think I'll come back to same. I think it's more about ESG and being the center, focus of the entire plan. Green buildings, the air quality which you bring in, what kind of natural elements you can use it to enhance, the sustainability of the entire building altogether. See, it's not just purely about construction these days, or it's not about the services which you offer at the desk, and it's beyond the services which you provided.
Got it. So,
So just
It's about
adding,
it's all about the material also. What kind of material you're using? Is it more eco-friendly, right? What kind of longevity does it provide to the customer when you're using it? How user-friendly it is? So I think there are multiple parts to it. It's not just a single question which I can probably touch into and then can add in and then you
so
answer.
adding a couple of points to Venkat. So the next trends would be creating your own tribe. It's not like you start a co-working and you target each and every customer of yours. So if you see the top brands, they have their own tribes who are loyal to them. So for instance, if you want to build a affordable co-working, then you have a separate tribe for that. Then you want someone who wants an office near to their home. So nowadays you can see the co-working concept coming as deep to HSR. Now, the entire HSR is crowded with co-workings, right? So we never thought that there is a concept which comes like co-working comes into 1,500 square feet kind of a building also. But now the things got changed. People would love to go towards a co-working kind of a concept near to their home. So it's just about you forecasting what happens in the next 6 months, 1 year, and what kind of trends which might happen and how quickly you can adapt to that. So that's all about.
Got it. So Karthik, what are the emerging trends in and around civil that Vishwakarma is currently focusing on in their curriculum for civil and all of that?
These are the areas which they say they're working on: construction management, steel design, surveying, infrastructure engineering, environmental engineering. These are, so we have what is called as areas of focus in every department. So these four ones that I read, these are the main ones that they're currently saying they're focusing on, because that's at least where in Pune, many of our the companies who take them tend to look for these kind of skills.
Got it. Got it. So now I want to move into an interesting part called decision dilemmas, where there are two good options. Both of them are equally good, but you'll have to pick one. More like a new twist to rapid fire kind of thing. You just have to pick one answer. You don't have to necessarily justify the answer. So that's about it. So I'll start with you, Vani. A high return real estate project or diversify into other properties?
100% diversification.
Residential projects or commercial real estate?
Depends on the appetite of the individual that they
Don't
invest.
depends on all.
It is 100% depends on the appetite.
Commercial, I would say. High yield returns and high yield rental. So that's my take.
No hanky-panky customers in
Yeah,
that.
fantastic.
I don't know what's the hanky panky.
They don't waste your time.
Time.
So by the
See,
end of
commercial
it, they are
buyers are
bang
always
on point.
serious.
No,
They
he's,
have the
he's
money.
asking in the perspective of the investor, whether it's residential or a commercial.
So, in your portfolio, you have mostly
We are mostly into the residential real
Ah,
estate space. Yes.
got it. And expand on focusing on high value projects or increase the number of smaller projects.
Increase the number of smaller projects is working out well for us.
Got it. Sustainable building practices or cost effective construction.
Sustainable, 100%.
Long term projects or short term high yield projects.
Short-term high yield.
Okay. So now coming to you, Venkat. Premium co-working spaces or affordable accessible spaces.
Affordable accessibility.
Expanding into smaller cities or expanding your footprint and further footprint.
Smaller
in
cities. I think the time of the hour is that I think most of the metro cities are overcrowded now, and companies need to spread their wings. And then I think it's already happening, but it's going to happen
Zomato,
further.
Swiggy, Zepto.
Everybody needs to move it.
You
I
name
think
it.
it's needed.
Yeah.
Tech heavy co-working models or community building aspects.
Tech heavy. It
Uh,
eases out your day-to-day activity altogether.
Flexible space options or emphasize on long-term rentals.
Long-term rentals,
High density locations or target suburban locations.
high-density locations.
So Bharat, coming to you, right? Large scale interior projects or niche luxury spaces.
See, it varies. If you're thinking
You
about
have to choose one, but
if you're thinking about value or
Yeah,
volume,
it's like
from both of
choose for an MCQ question. You're giving a detailed answer.
okay, I'll tell you
You can
in
tell
which aspect of it.
your current situation. You can tell whatever is your answer.
Okay, I'll look into large scale.
Large in scale interior projects. Expanding into new geographies or building deeper expertise in current market.
Building deeper expertise.
Developing new client relationships or strengthening existing ones.
Strengthening existing client customer satisfaction.
Traditional interior styles or push boundaries with modern innovative designs.
As it's a creative field, I'll go with the second one, which is modern innovative designs.
Standardized services or customized.
Customized services.
Okay, Rajesh, for you now.
Yeah.
High risk, high reward, or safer, stable.
High risk, high reward.
Real estate investments or expand into other financial markets.
Expand into other financial markets.
Emphasize co-working projects and investment strategies or focus on residential commercial.
Co-working.
Scale the business quickly or focus on building a strong foundation first.
I would go a strong foundation.
Okay. So develop a niche in investment banking or diversify offerings.
Niche.
Okay,
You have to focus on whatever you are doing. Yeah.
got it. So Karthik, coming to you, right? Focus on technical skills or interpersonal skills.
Technical skills,
On-site industry exposure or classroom learning.
on-site,
Large corporate firms or startups.
startups,
Students for local industry needs or global readiness.
local industry needs,
Practical skills in real estate or critical thinking.
practical.
Okay. So, wanted to come to the contribution part. We are doing this as a broader initiative to bridge the gap between the academia and the industry. Okay. So the idea is to see that how we can help our graduating engineers to become more employable and hit the ground running and become productive. So that is the idea. So wanted a small contribution from each of you in terms of what you can do in your personal capacity or in the capacity of your organization for you to do. So this could be as little as offering a pep talk in the college, or offering internships, or giving them some real life projects that they can work out of college, or you can even hire them for your full time leads. So that's what it is. So I'll go with you. So Bharat, I'll start with you. What can we do to do this?
See, uh, we can start with internships and put it across to a full time employment, though we already hire freshers. It's not that we don't, right? So, and from a contribution from my perspective, uh, we can extend that. Anyway, we are doing the hiring of freshers. We can extend that to Vishwakarma as well, if there is a possibility of doing it. Maybe before that, to understand the quality of students out there, to understand the kind of volume that we get from the university or an institute. Maybe we can do certain discussions or kind of understanding of the students, how much we can capitalize from them.
Got it. So Venkat.
I think the pep talk is definitely required to start with. I think that's where you kind of get the base of where the students are at a given point of time. I think post which I think you'll have to probably guide them. See, the most of the guys, even including me, when I also started, I was very confused. Where do I go? Do I go to hotels? Do I go to a retail chain? Now, shall I work at McDonald's? You're completely confused. What would be my career path? I think that's where you need to help them and tell them that, for example, if this is the certification you need, if you want to get into this particular space in civil engineering altogether, that might be design and build, you need to do certification course from this particular institute, or this particular any other online vendor who's providing, like Udemy or Coursera or whosoever it is. I think that is second. I think that's the latter part would be probably with helping them to get a suitable job. I think because you have to be industry ready. It's not just that you bring in somebody and then if he's good at certain things and he can join. You have to understand from day one when you're in the job, whatever you learned, it's not even related. You understand. I think most of the guys will agree from here. Whatever work we are doing it here. So you have to get them industry ready, and that's when you bring into the table. I think after that is probably hiring.
Gautam, just one point I wanted to say. I forgot to say that during the course of the talk, as Venkat said, I realized we have this Coursera certificate. So what we have done is at our college, every student gets a Coursera license, and they have to do 2 or 4 courses now onwards throughout their engineering. They'll have to do 2 in third year and 2 in fourth year. So there is a huge basket of courses available for all the students. So 2 professional certifications, they have to get it done on the Coursera, giving the test, everything, and that counts towards their credits. So we have done that. So that was an initiative I forgot to mention.
then,
Since I was talking about certifications in Coursera, I just
So I think the other part which I really missed was internship. I think that also really helps. Either it's during your your whatever the college, because we went through internship when I was doing my hotel management. We used to go to hotels, spend 6 months, understand how a hotel operates from a different standpoint of view. You be in food and service. You be in housekeeping. You understand the entirety of in terms of how an hotel operates, right? So it's similar to engineering, right? Again, so I think you need to start from scratch and then build your career on top of it.
I think
So,
probably for the civil, I would suggest, if, as you talked about the certification of Coursera, right? So probably if you can able to uh, get few industry experts and kind of, I mean, this is an extension of the pep talk that we were discussing about. Maybe in discussion of introduction of how interior design
that, yeah.
as a kind of an
you have to
additional.
do. He's right. Actually, you need to building multiple touch points.
Yeah.
You can't just leave, it's see, they've just learned the technicality of the market altogether, whatever an industry they want to get into, beyond which what, right?
Yeah.
I think that's where the different the portions of the space where probably they can get absorbed in.
Sure.
I think that's where probably they need to focus in. Like for example, from real estate, of course, there is finance as well. There's funding as well, even for your design and build again. So there are different markets which you want to get into real estate altogether. So yeah, it's up to you, which interests you, and then
Yeah.
you move in from there.
Vani?
As real estate is being underlooked and all this from all the angles. So we will be more than happy to extend our support to the university and the students across in terms of educating them on the aspects of real estate as a career option in itself as one. Number two, even as I was mentioning, they should be industry ready. Yes, of course, every career choice that they choose, they should be ready to accept that particular job profile. So from the third year onwards, if we kind of create some method or kind of a curriculum inbuilt with this sort of an opportunity, extended opportunities as an option to them, apart from the regular courses that the industry, the universities are teaching, I think that should be the second thing, where we will also be able to extend our support directly and through our industry friends to bring in the right people on board to help you, who has that, the zeal to empower the new generations, not for a monetary gain though, but however, they might be eager to do that, but they are not having the right platform. You can create such platform where they can come and educate your people on the industry readiness in a specific target domain. That's what we can build, and of course our doors are open wherever we could employ them. We are more than happy to employ. Yes.
See, going beyond these pep talks or giving internship opportunities, we have to create that intent of getting into the competition. So how do you create that intent is all about. See, there are professors who are very highly skilled and they know what's happening in and out. But what happens is there is a gap when when they graduate and they come into the real time world. The expectations versus the reality is completely different. The expectations are not met. So just to fill up that gap, let's say there are 50 sessions in one particular subject. Let 4 5 sessions take. Let some industry expert come into picture. Let it be a guest lecture or kind of 2 3 topics. Let him take that particular subject to the students, and obviously this can be voluntarily given. So there were a lot of people who will be coming forward and doing that, including me, because I really suffered because during my engineering days there was no mentor. And I always believe in 3 types of mentors. One is your family, mom and dad, who will always believe you, saying that was you can do it. We trust you, and you also have to trust it. That increased or boost the intent. Second one is your professor. Professor is the one who will guide you internally till you graduate, and he will tell you what mistakes you are doing and how you can get better. Third one is the real industry expert, where they have seen the real world, what are the kind of problems they have faced. If you have these kind of 3 combo mentors, I think the problem is easily solved in terms of the intent. So I can contribute towards the guest lectures or a pep talk, and if you want any kind of mentorship or a shadowing opportunity, I have a very huge network, and everyone who is into entrepreneurial stint, they will easily available to give their wisdom to young people as such.
Because we all have kind of gone through some suffering out there. You understood what I'm saying, right? I think,
It's
as I
not
said,
an easy journey, at least.
it's
for
not
us.
an easy journey.
But just to add to it, Gautam, we being part of a business network, we took it as an organization in itself. A lot of entrepreneurs coming together, going to the universities, addressing to these students across various domains. Right from your image consulting to public speaking skills to the various career options from different industry experts. We go to each university, spend at least a half a day with them, personal interactions that we do with them, and that's kind of giving a great satisfaction for both for us, because what he was mentioning, we missed a lot of mentors. We at least can be sharing that knowledge and be that mentors for their initial budding days, and from there, once they get the wings, they will fly on their own.
See, whatever we missed, we can add that for sure.
Yeah.
So I know.
And just to give you a reality, in fact, we were just talking about placements and stuff like that. Trust me, I come from the VC or investment banking angle. I'm not giving this as a fear factor, but AI is going to replace everything, because I have seen lot of companies coming and pitching their ideas and stuff like that. And out of every 10 companies apply to YC. YC is a Y Combinator.
Y Combinator.
There are 7 companies who are working on some or the other AI tool, right? It's not about ChatGPT or something like that. That's just a tip of it. So we talked about legality checks of a property that is being completely replaced by AI. You just upload the kind of government policy, upload the document of the builder. It auto checks what's happening. If there is a issue, it reflects saying that boss, there is a issue. Go and check with your lawyer. So it also talks about, previously we used to give a 3D designs and everything, and we used to take 7 days, 6 days or so. Now it's just that it happens over a command.
Yep.
You just type what you want and you have the picture ready.
I think that
You have the video ready as well.
So I was doing my digital marketing now course with Purdue. I remember there was something called prompt engineer. I think
Yeah.
prompt engineers are the go-to guys right now in the market, so to speak, in some sense.
So it's not about only core. You have to have at least 3 to 4 different skill sets, so that the companies who are hiring
You're
you
multi-skilled.
will
You
get
have to be-
convinced.
You have to be multi-skilled. It's as simple as that. Now, for example, I was into sales. Honestly speaking, digital marketing does not add any value for me when I have to go out and pitch to the customers. Only thing is I wanted to understand the angle of it. I think so. For me to kind of learn something new and then pitching it probably, to my customers. I think that angle is what I wanted to understand. So coming back to that is that you need to always be, preemptive.
Sure,
You need to know what is going to happen before what you're going to think about. So yeah, so it completely makes sense in terms of what you're saying. But it's very good point which you put across. I did not know, as a matter of fact, that there is a tool which kind of cross checks if you put
Yeah,
across. That's just interesting, very interesting. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. It was a wonderful discussion. Hope the students who watch this will get amazing insights, and probably they from no option to multiple options and all of that. Thank you very much. It was a great evening.